Well, hey there, homesteaders. How's it going? A couple weeks back, I told you I'd show you how we filter our rainwater to turn it into house water. So this is that video.
Hell, it's about time.
So far, our videos have been focusing on whether or not you catch rain and how much you can catch. But let's say that you've got a whole bunch of rain. What do you do with it? How do you turn it into useful water that you can drink and use for household use? What I thought I would do is show you generic steps that you can apply to any system so that you can set it up in a way where you are ensuring safety for your homestead. But before we get into it, one of the first things you need to do is take a look at your state and county regulations for where you live. Some states allow rain catching, like New Mexico. We can use it for both home and agricultural use as long as it stays on site. But other states like Colorado only let you catch about 150 gallons total, so like 2 rain barrels, and you can only use it for agricultural use.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
So your rules might vary depending on where you live. Make sure you check it out before you proceed with your system. I've been around the internet and I've looked at what other people have for setting up their rain systems. And unfortunately, most of the videos I see are a guy showing you his water tanks or maybe hooking up some hoses. And in fact, when I started making this video, I was doing the same thing. I was going from tank to tank and I was plugging in hoses and turning on pumps. And what I realized is that that only makes sense to me because this is our system and we've customized it for our needs. Your system might be completely different. So what's needed is a big picture that shows a process that allows you to customize it for your homestead needs. Part of any rain catching system is the collection portion. So collection just has to do with when the rain comes down from the sky, lands on your roof, goes through a gutter, then through a debris screen, probably a first flush diverter, and then into some sort of a holding tank. If you're going to live off rainwater, you kind of need to take responsibility for the quality of that water. To do that, I made up an imaginary company that I call the Homestead Water Brigade.
Let's go put it on.
What?
The last suit you'll ever wear. Again.
It has one employee and it has a bunch of responsibilities and tasks that we have to handle. One of the first things that the Water Brigade handles is water delivery. How do you get it out of the rain tank and into the house? Another responsibility the Water Brigade handles is how do we know the water's clean? What's the minimum process it has to go through to come from whatever's in the rainwater to whatever is going to come out of the faucet? And the final thing that the Water Brigade does is work on water conservation. We want people to know what they're using and we want them to know how much water is left. So those are very important parts and we're happy to be of service. We basically capture it in a rain barrel of varying scale, let it collect rain on its own as the weather permits. And then when we want to, according to a schedule, we'll pull 300-gallon units from it, treat that water, filter it, and add it to our house tank. We don't actually hook our pipes or our drinking water or our house directly up to a rain barrel. We always have a secondary process where we move that water through filters and apply treatments to make sure that it's clean before it ever goes into the house. And that filter chain is custom to your homestead and what you want in your water. Once you've got that rainwater harvested, you're going to need to move it around into various tanks to be able to treat it and filter it. So moving water is a big part of living off of rain, so you've got to have a decent transfer pump and you've got to have at least one filter canister to filter that water. We do employ a dedicated pump house on our homestead. That pump house purpose is basically to keep the water equipment from freezing. About 6 months out of the year, it gets below freezing here in the desert. And during the January and February months, it gets really cold, sometimes down to 0. And when that happens for that long, everything freezes. I don't care if you think your stuff is freeze-proof or not, it will not withstand multiple freezes over and over again or deep freezes that go for weeks on end. So we have to have this facility that protects all our pumps and our hoses and our filter canisters from bursting in the winter. And that pump house is honestly kind of the bane of my existence. I hate that thing. I have worked hard to keep it heated and it requires constant power and we've still had it freeze. Okay, I don't know if you can hear me over this pump, but this is our transfer pump, and we use it to push water between the tanks all the time. And every time we do, it goes through this filter. This pump is a 1.6 horse electric pump. It runs off of 110 volt. Doesn't require any special circuits, but it moves water pretty fast, even with this 3/4 step down that it's got. So we have it hooked up to a timer on the main outlet as well as a remote control unit. So I can turn it on and off with this thing, and I can limit how long it runs because I know that my tanks fill up in 30 minutes. So the 30-minute timer is actually really helpful to get that going. And then over here, I have a dual input set up where I can set it to different inputs and flip a switch when I need it to push from different sources. So everything comes into this pump house where it's kept warm with these chicken heaters and all this reflective stuff. I have a couple temperature sensors, and then this is dual input, dual output on the other side. You can put any kind of filter you want in these. There's a wide variety of standard size filters that have all kinds of different attributes. Some are carbon filters, some are fiber filters, some take out sediment, some take out elements, some take out odors, some take out chemicals. And really what you have to do is mix and match your own filter chain to fit the kind of water output that you're looking for. Oscar's got one. Get that sucker. Get him. That's right. Earn that rent. Anytime you're working with transferring water, you've always got to have a set of good hoses. These are 3/4 inch interior diameter, and they are food safe, and we only use them for water transfers. This is strictly for the house system. We never mix our ag tanks with our house tanks, or any of the plumbing, or any of the connections. And this is our transfer tank. We use it exclusively to receive water from other tanks for the explicit use of treating it. This is 300 gallons. We mix 1/3 cup of 8 1/4 bleach, and that is able to treat and get rid of any pathogens that might be in the water that haven't been filtered out. That's about up to here. We'll go up to the hose level to get the full 300 gallons. And that timer should be done pretty soon. We'll see if it's going to shut off yet. Oh, there it went. So that's our full 300 gallons. The timer is off and we're ready to go. Turn off this valve here. I never turned it the right way the first time. All right, the valve is off. Okay, now we're done with this transfer. Now I need to connect to the bottom. Take these pieces off. All right, this goes to our actual house tank. Tighten that up, open the valve. Okay, this hose in. Give it a good twist. Make sure the valve is open. We're coming out of the bottom of that tank and we're going into the top of this tank. We've got our remote. So the water that's going through this filter now has already been treated once and filtered for sediment. So now that it's been treated with bleach, it's ready to go into the cistern for the house.
Water. Millions of decaliters. A treasure.
Greater than treasure, Usul.
And now that that water's been filtered and treated, it can sit in that reservoir tank for quite some time. Later we'll pump it out and put it into our house tank, where it goes through another set of filters that specifically remove the chlorine, odors, chemicals, and other tastes. And then finally it goes into a Berkey, where it gets the ultimate filtering. So most of your water comes out of there?
All of our water for drinking comes out of here. I do give water to the animals out of the sink. That is some good water.
Not bad.
Very crystal clear.
It's like the Flynt, Michigan test.